Oh, it's Friday. You made it through the week. We're so glad you're with us, and welcome to the 208, where we are going to take a look back on Fridays at the most talked stories, I should say most talked about stories of the week. And this week, Greater Idaho took the cake with the most comments from you at home, the viewers. You had a lot to say. If you missed this, Greater Idaho, it's the plan that involves the state of Idaho absorbing a portion of eastern Oregon. And here it is. This is the proposed map. About a dozen counties in eastern Oregon have already voted in favor of becoming a part of Idaho. Arguments have been made by proponents that the people and land of eastern Oregon, well, would better fit to the politics and culture of the great state of Idaho. This week on Monday, a resolution was in a House committee to authorize the Idaho and Oregon legislatures to begin official discussions on whether it is feasible to move the Idaho border into eastern Oregon. Idaho Representative Barbara Ehart highlighted some of the cultural and policy differences between the states. Here are just two easy examples for you.
We have a little bit of a drug problem right on the side of our border. A lot of Idahoans are going there and getting drugs. That will be pushed hundreds of miles away. We don't want the drugs, and the people you're going to hear from, they voted against the drugs. They don't want them either. We also have, I think, given what the stance Idaho's taken, an abortion clinic that is set up right on the border. Guess what? That's going to be pushed hundreds of miles away. So there's a lot of good things in this that are going to happen if this is something that continues. And I'll just say, as I mentioned, that yes, the other states are watching us. Other states are looking and trying to do the same thing.
So to be clear, it goes far beyond those two topics. Economic and political living factors are also there big time. But we heard public testimony in committee this week, and everyone who testified was in favor of the idea. The committee voted after an extended feedback portion of the meeting, and the conversation it passed went to the full House for conversation. Again, this is just kicking off the conversation between Idaho and Oregon.
We're pleased. This was a great result. It shows that the Idaho legislature, the legislators, they understand this is a solution that makes sense. It's a solution that we need to have this conversation.
So then on Wednesday of this week, we got some real action. The bill, it went to the full House floor for debate.
Why wouldn't we at least want to have a conversation about increasing the size of our state? You know that up until just recently, we've been the #1 fastest growing state in the nation, with a lot of people coming here, and our open areas are becoming less and less apparent. So we would be looking at adding a large landmass to the state of Idaho. Why not have that conversation?
We were limited by Constitution to 35 members, 35 districts, as I recall. And if we added that much area and that many people, suddenly it would go to almost nearly 70,000 people per district, which means each of our districts would have to be that much bigger. So I will be voting no on the bill.
I've been getting along here as part of a 17% minority. I work with everybody. We work with everybody. This is not the direction America should be taking. We should not be self-segregating by ideology like this. I think we're on a path to civil war if we keep going down this path. We have got to learn to get along better and work together better. The answer cannot be to just start carving up the country and redrawing lines that have been in place for a century or more just so that we can only be surrounded by people that perfectly agree with us. I think this is an unfortunate direction for America, for Idaho, and for all concerned. And I hope that someday we move in an America that moves away from the current wave of partisanship. I think this exacerbates a dangerous direction that America is moving in.
It's been interesting because the 11 counties in Oregon have actually gone through the formal process of holding votes within their county to say, let's proceed. America's actually watching. We're not the only state looking to do this. There are many states throughout the union right now looking to do the same thing. It's just that ours has received more national publicity and we've received more attraction. So all we want to do, Mr. Speaker and friends, is have a conversation.
So the idea passed the Idaho House 41-28, so it now heads over to the Idaho Senate first on the committee level. And to be very clear about this whole conversation, the legislative question and vote that we just talked about, it's only a question to lawmakers. Should they have official conversations on the topic with the Oregon legislature, yes or no? Now, this whole thing would still need to be approved by both state legislatures and the United States Congress. And, we got some comments here also from the people in Congress. You want to know how seriously the members of Congress are taking it? Well, United States Congressman out of Oregon representing the Portland area, Earl Blumenauer, well, they said in this quote, "I would entertain a trade for Boise and Sun Valley." end quote. So we'll see how seriously this is taken outside of the state of Idaho, but a lot of you here in the state had strong opinions about Greater Idaho, and this is what you're saying about it this week. Kurt in Boise said, Western Oregon should form its own state. Our legislature needs to focus on Idaho, not some other state politics. Darren said, Idaho is already great. We do not need a Greater Idaho border change for Oregon to tell us so. Dan and Ebbett said, as a former Western Oregonian, I vote yes. This is a perfect match. Steve said there's a lot of U.S. and Eastern Oregon that are not in favor of us moving the border. If you like Idaho, move. Otherwise, leave the rest of us alone. And Ginny said many people now in Idaho do not want more conservative Oregon population. Must we all move to a state that has our political leanings? Very bad precedent. And Steve said, how about putting the Greater Idaho to the vote of the people of Idaho and Oregon? Stan in Twin Falls said, so if the legislature is considering discussions with Oregon about boundary changes, are they ready for discussions with Utah about Eastern Idaho or Washington about Northern Idaho? And Betty said, the Oregonians who want to be a part of Idaho are okay with paying 6% of sale tax on everything, right? I don't know about that. And there's an incredible amount of work and agreement that this idea would need to clear, but we'll just keep an eye on this one for now.